Boys, how we doing?
Doing good.
That was a nice little tone you had there. Boys. The way-
I'm a
start
natural
singing?
singer. I'm a natural singer.
Natural?
Natural showman.
Natural?
Natural.
Wow.
Better spot here.
Ooh. Look at you got the Rolls Royce of all chairs.
It's the worst. You guys are way
Hey, I upgraded the
than
padding for you, man. Come on.
Upgrade the padding. Added a DLC attachment.
yeah, it's a subscription model though. The moment you stop paying, that battle pass
disappears.
yeah, you're not allowed to use that.
sounds like a terrible deal. Paying to hang out with you.
Well, we're not too far from that in the gaming world.
Sadly.
You gotta like rent these.
It all started with World of Warcraft. Actually, they
Skyrim.
bought
The horse.
Not Skyrim. It was Oblivion.
Oblivion.
sorry.
Skyrim only had two. They had 3 expansions, and they
And
were
they
all
were
worth
actual
the price.
expansions. Yeah. It wasn't horse armor,
$5 it was,
I think.
something like that.
And thus, here we are.
We don't need to go down that rabbit hole again.
Not to open it up.
Not to open it up.
Gentlemen, how we doing? We started playing, or we continued last week with our Baldur's Gate playthrough.
Correct.
You
You
did?
guys having fun with that? We got some good
Having a lot of
memes to
fun.
come from that.
We are.
Um,
Yeah.
I learned.
You can't
I've
throw a
learned from
potion
my-
at a dog. Okay. You can't do
That
that.
scene is bad, I guess.
And you guys, have you made up the time for that, or have?
Yeah, we did.
We're back. We didn't record it, but we
okay.
got to where we were,
Okay.
and we ended it.
Also, I've learned what you're supposed to do. Throw it next to them,
So it splashes onto
so
them.
it splashes onto them. Not.
It's like taking a. It's like.
Oh, because it does like 1 damage when it hits, huh?
It does.
Yes.
It
So
can.
That's why.
it's like saying, Billy, get drunk, and then hitting you with the whiskey bottle.
But then you suck it in after it hits you.
Absorb it.
Yeah.
What's crazy to me is that it was like everyone came to the aid of the dog.
Yeah,
There
they
was
all
no-
aggroed.
They were like,
Yeah.
"Oh fuck that! I don't care how much of a relationship we've had to this
Yeah.
point. Like, you're done."
Like, I literally had just, and they were against me too. And I was like, wait a minute, why? I didn't do it. I'm on your guys' side. I was ready to have the whole camp against Dylan, but no.
You're with him.
Yep.
You were the only ones that seemed to be able to speak on free will.
What a crazy game design, though. Like, what if you did murder everyone in that camp? Like, you would have to then go out and recruit more people.
Well, I know if they have the hireling system through Withers, which I don't think did Withers turn aggro.
I don't
so.
think
I
you
don't think
can.
so.
I don't, yeah. I don't
So-
think
Pretty
he
sure he's
doesn't give a shit
immune.
about
Yeah.
mortal problems.
And then I know they have the safe thing of like Will, right? If you kill Will, he explodes. I think.
I've
Is
never
that right,
killed
Kyle?
Will. I can't
I've
confirm
heard
that.
if he dies, he
that
explodes.
seems more like something that would happen to Gale.
That's
Or
what
Gale,
I
I
was
mean.
gonna say. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I was like, not Will.
I was like, why is Will protected like
No,
that?
Gale explodes if he dies.
Okay.
That's what I've
makes
heard.
sense.
And he like destroys all the camp or something.
He's like a nuke, so he destroys like that part of Faerun. Like wherever you are, he kills everybody.
Yeah, that's like one of the endings. You could sacrifice Gale. Spoiler
You
alert.
can sacrifice him before then too.
Yeah,
technically.
true. Gale's such an interesting weird arc.
He invited me out to go sit with him in the grass. I'm like, this kind of. What am I doing here, Will?
This is
Or
kind of
Gale.
kind of sus.
Yeah.
Gale, I don't know. What you?
Well, can you romance him as a man?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
romance any character as anyone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they don't have any. They're all
There's no gender.
And they're all
specificity.
pansexual.
They're all very easy.
Yeah.
Some more than others. Gale, instantly.
Karlak wants you right away. You just have to heal her first. But
Yeah.
she literally like, you have one night where you're like, oh, I think I kind of like you, and then like the next day, Karlak is just like,
in love with you.
like not only that,
I
but
wanna-
she's like
you
very
in the-
vulgar
In the,
about it.
I could and just.
She's like, God, I want to ride you till you see stars, and like stuff. You're like,
sign me up.
and you're like Karlak, and the whole thing is she's basically been fighting a war for 10
Yeah.
years and had no
Human
human
contact.
any contact of any kind.
They're like the Valkyrie from Norse mythology, right?
Yeah.
Gale, all you have to do is sneeze in his direction, and he's like, "Let me show you some magic." And you're like, okay,
Well, what's
Gale.
funny is like I didn't know what was going on the first time.
Oh,
so
did
like,
you
when
go see
come-
the magic?
Well, because he's like, well, no, I didn't, but because I looked it up because I was like, well, I want to go do this thing with Shadowheart, because like that's who I want to pick, but I don't want to miss out on that because she'll be upset. So then I googled it and I'm like, oh, that's his romance option. I was like, I want to see the magic, or like I want to see something because he's like
very,
trying
like,
to. He's
I've
selling
been
it to you
working
like,
on this magic trick.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you can,
and you've noticed like weird shit happening with him. So you're like, oh, I really kind of want to find that out. And then I'm like, oh, he's just hitting on me.
I'm pretty sure I've sent that short that this YouTuber made where he's like, I'm trying to romance Lazelle. And then Gail comes up and says, I want to show you a magic trick. And I'm like, sure, Gail's my boy. I'll check out your magic trick. Let me go hook up with Lazelle and we'll meet up in a couple hours. And then I go to Lazelle and Lazelle says, I would want you if you hadn't already promised your body to Gail. And I go, what the fuck? Gail, what is this magic trick? It's so funny. That I didn't do it justice. That guy did it way more funny than I did. But that sums up perfectly how easy it is to,
Literally,
get
I literally had to Google
on
it,
his
so I'm like,
favor.
I don't want to make a misstep here, and I'm like,
Well, and at least Will, all his shortcomings aside, which
are you
there's
saying
a lot.
Gail or Will?
No, Will. At
Okay.
least Will, all his shortcomings aside, which there's a lot. He doesn't come on to you like that.
No.
He kind of stays in his lane.
He's incredibly boring.
Yes.
He's like the most boring character. And my wife, who romanced him and her playthrough, like regrets it every 5 seconds. It's like to the point where like she tried to get us to restart like 3 times because Gail has, I guess, like the best romance scene, like all of the game.
The magic sex.
Yeah, he like literally casts this. You're like flying through the stars, and he casts this spell to create multiple of him, and so like every version of him is doing something else.
Jesus.
So it's ultimate pleasure.
Victory says now he's glitched.
Yeah, now he Will. His question mark won't leave no matter what we do, and so it just pisses her off whenever we play.
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
Did Halson come on to you? He came on to me, and I was just being friendly to him. And then all of a sudden, one time I go talk to him. He's like, maybe we could get to know each other. I'm like, no. And then he gets all hurt. He's like, oh, I thought.
See, that's one of these.
And I'm like, okay, bro.
If you reject them early, they don't really care. But Halston must be different. I don't know.
I don't know with him because
My first playthrough, I didn't get that chance because I didn't fix the Shadowland, the Shadow Curse. And so he left after Act 2. He just went on his own. And then my second playthrough, I just rejected him. You can't take these things too personally because you're going to hurt somebody in this game. And Halston, he's funny too because when Tori and I play together, we like we'll do every scenario. We'll just have a backup save because we're like, oh, we want to see. But Halston, like, he will try and get with you even if you already have a locked in romance.
Yeah, I already had.
Like, he's very like he's like polyamorous, and he's like, as long as your partner's okay with it, I'm okay with it. And he's very like. There's a whole scene where he turns into a bear and stuff, and we've all heard of
We've all
seen that. It's wild, literally.
Yep. And then there's Minthara. I know how to save her. She's never come on to me.
Minthara is no.
I think you miss out on her or you miss out on her sex scene, but you can still romance her somehow. I don't know.
If you save her,
If you
in a
save
good
her
way.
and you save the grove.
See, and now that you say that you can romance anybody, that makes me realize why I had some of the dialogue that I did, because I always default to the nicest thing to say to somebody. Like, so it's like it always leads to that.
That's
and
reminiscent.
You get into like weird conversations. You're like, no, wait, what?
That's reminiscent of you in real life, though. You don't even realize.
Everyone's hitting on me.
I've been led on this whole time.
This
Billy.
whole time, man.
Out of the three of us, if there was anybody that were to like, be hit on, like in the public, you would be the one to be like, "What a swell person," and not even realize what was happening.
Well, that's kind of like blowing my mind right now, because it's like I would get into these weird dialogues and you're like, wait, what the fuck? Like, there's this big burly man and I'm like a dude. Like, what is happening? What is going on?
It's called
right. Like, I'm pretty sure that dialogue that you're talking about, I went through and I had no idea that that's where that was leading towards. And I was because it was just because I think at that night you have the choice to like.
You do have the choice to. I don't.
There's something
can you
with his.
do it with him.
You can flirt with him, but you can't do anything that
Yeah.
night. Like the first night after the goblin.
party.
Yeah,
thing.
it's just so strange. But that totally makes sense because I was like, there was a handful of times where I'm like, what the where did that fucking come from? But anyway,
Well, it's so interesting how they designed each character to come about things. Like with Karlak, she's the only one that I've seen, both sides is if you talk to somebody else and accept their request before talking to her, she will like come on to you when you talk to her. Like if she has high enough appraisal.
Like I was hoping it would be me or whatever.
Yeah, but if you talk to her first, you're the one that has to bring it up. Otherwise, the conversation does not lead to it at all. And I thought that was interesting because it's like you have the same approval.
It's real life.
It's real life. She's
Right.
yeah.
She thought you were escaping from
Her clutches.
her clutches.
let's not get too immersed.
Like the
okay?
devil
Reality
she
check.
is. Yeah, so Baldur's Gate 3, it is definitely like, and that's actually been a critique, is because they have written all these characters to just be able to be with anyone. It kind of takes away from the uniqueness of these certain traits, like if you were gay or straight or what have you. Like, the
Wears away
argument
at their
argument
identity or
is
whatever
that
as a
it kind of diminishes like the value of love or whatever. That's what I've been.
I could imagine how much more difficult it is to probably write, because now that character has to have so many different romance options and the scenes that they have to then animate and stuff
Well,
like
and
that.
the
like,
lines too.
holy
They have
shit,
to be
that's
able
a
to
whole
say,
lot more. Like you just doubled everything.
yeah, her versus him.
Yeah.
Versus
That's
them.
what I mean. Like you have to like almost. I could kind of see that, Kyle, where like you can write a character to have like this vision for this character, right? But then if you make that design choice to sort of be open to anybody, now all of a sudden you have to like almost break that illusion of what that character is for you a little bit to write it like using the different terms or whatever. Although maybe the romance options aren't that. I don't know. I think that's actually a big part of why people enjoy this game is they do feel like they can fall in love with these characters and get immersed, right?
I mean, I joke about it, but I like a good romance in my games, but it's not like the primary driving. But like I do, if it's like a badly or poorly written romance, that does like make me cringe. Like, so I do like options.
Yeah, but like look at Liara and Tally. Like we have so much of a debate, and online there's so much of a debate of who to choose and stuff like that. So like I would say a huge portion of this sort of RPG audience that plays these games to really get immersed in their character.
100%.
Yeah,
That's. So it's just probably that's a lot more work. That's kind of crazy because it was sold as a game that has like 178 hours of cutscenes, right? Which is just
I don't even know.
Phenomenally crazy to me.
That seems like a lot, but
yes,
it's very possible. I mean, they could be very minor. They could be very
like your one offhand conversation with a NPC
altogether. I've played through pretty much beginning to end the game like 4 times, and I've experienced very different things. 174 hours of cinematics
in Baldur's Gate 3,
according to Reddit.
Wow,
that is
more than twice
crazy.
the length of every season of Game of Thrones combined. I don't really know.
Imagine the script.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, what do we got here? That's,
I know. That'd be huge. Wow.
That's probably like they probably polished the gameplay years ago, and they were just trying to finish this.
Yeah.
Because could you imagine that 174 hours?
Well,
of
it
cinematics.
was Kickstarter early access, so it was probably out.
Baldur's Gate 3 was a Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure about that?
Early access.
What do you mean?
Like it was a Kickstarter that turned into early access, and then it.
But Larian Studios started the Kickstarter, or they were.
I don't know. I can look it up, but I'm
It
guessing
sounds
they did.
familiar.
That seems crazy to me, because they were a pretty. I mean, they weren't big, but they were
People talked about Divinity 2 as like the best CRPG of all time. So, but that also had a very small, I feel
That
like
was
niche
much more
crowd.
niche, yeah.
Wasn't it?
But they still had at least 100 developers on Baldur's Gate 3.
This
At
goes into
least,
that
right?
when we've had those discussions on what makes a AAA game AAA. You know, like it's such a, like who knows where that line really is.
AAA is how much they waste money. How much goes to the directive team that did nothing?
Exactly.
I didn't talk about the game.
Exactly.
Okay, X-Men 97.
All right. That's a transition I like.
Ruthless. Raw.
No filter.
No filter.
X-Men 97. So if you're a Marvel fan and you haven't watched X-Men 97, you're doing yourself a disservice right
You're an
now.
absolute loser.
You're a loser. And you should just accept that. I'm just kidding. But
Partially.
X-Men 97 is, I'm not going to lie to you, it's probably my favorite like cartoon ever. And it's probably in my top 3 Marvel like programs, like Marvel TV shows, movies. Episode 5, and it's halfway done. There's still 5 more episodes. Episode 5 had such a profound impact on me that I felt identically to the way I felt when I watched Avengers Infinity War.
Jeez.
Wow.
When Avengers Infinity War ended, we all know how we felt with that snap and Thanos won, and you were like, what the fuck do we do now? I had that exact same feeling. And this has been just a true joy to watch. I am incredibly on the edge of my seat on like where it's gonna go, because they've set up so many like really good things after this bombshell of a mid-season. I guess you can call it a mid-season finale because of the sheer impact of what happened.
Season 5 or episode 5 was that?
Episode 5.
And how many episodes are going to be in season 1?
I think 11.
Oh shit. Okay.
11.
Are they taking a break for a few weeks?
No, but
Okay.
just the gravity of what happened in episode 5, it was like it could have easily been a season finale for any other show. If this was live action, there'd be no doubt in my mind that people will be talking about this as the greatest thing Marvel has ever done, like by far.
No shit.
But because it's animated, there's always going to be that, it's animated.
That knock.
But it's leagues better.
There we go.
Testing.
We're back.
All right.
It
Real,
just dropped.
real
so.
quick. The research I did. Divinity 2 was a Kickstarter. Baldur's Gate 3 was not. Baldur's Gate 3
That seems more in line.
was
way
early
more.
access though. They released it in early access.
No.
But
You don't need to watch the old cartoon, even though this is a direct continuation of do we have audio?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch the old cartoon to understand this. You just need to know enough about X-Men to understand who the X-Men are, some of the base characters. If you've even watched the movies, you'll know enough about X-Men to be fine on the show. They developed it with the thought in mind that the people that watched this in the 90s are now in their like 30s and 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like kids couldn't watch it, but it's not written with that in mind. It's written like intelligently. They don't shy away from character deaths. They don't shy away from hard topics. And I'm immensely happy that this has been as good as it is. If I were to rate episode 5, it would definitely be a 10 out of 10. And then every other, like the first 2 is like a 9 out of 10. Third one's like 8. And then the fourth one was like a 7 out of 10. It was the weaker of the episodes for me, but they're all like great. I'm super excited on what's going to happen. I hope that you guys give the show a chance before it ends. But it does release on a weekly basis. So it's maybe, I don't know if you want to wait till it's all out and then just binge it, but it's super good.
I watched the first 20 minutes of the first episode. I couldn't get into it. It was the animation style. It had nothing to do with like I don't know. It all honestly felt like, because the show's rated G, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's rated G. I felt like it was very in the 20 minutes that I watched it. Okay, I'll preface it with that. I felt like it was very G-rated. Like it felt G-rated. And I couldn't get over it. I couldn't get over it at all. It was when they talk and their mouth it's 2 frames. It's open and closed. I didn't feel like there was any, and it just felt like a thing right out of the 90s. And I was like,
I mean,
I was 20 minutes in and I was fucking so bored. And I was like, I can't do it.
So I had a feeling that you would not be a fan of the
Couldn't do it.
animation, but you are very wrong when it comes to the G. It's G-rated. Like, characters are literally getting murdered in episode 5. Like, there's a whole, like...
Oh, episode 5 is, I mean... you've had a hard
episode
on, yeah.
2 and episode, like...
What is the rating? Let's see.
It's probably, like, G. I don't know, but...
TV 14. Okay.
Yeah, I don't... maybe the first episode and, like, maybe the first 20 minutes might feel...
I don't know. It just reminded me of
establishing-
like, it reminded me of like stuff that I had seen in the 90s where it was just like, yeah, we're a team, right, buddy? And I don't know. I know that's like,
I can accept the
super-
animation argument, but that argument's really
couldn't
bad.
get into it.
that argument is really bad, but to each their own. If you don't want to watch it,
into
if you don't watch it, that's fine.
So, who's the visor guy?
Cyclops.
It is Cyclops. He was kind of tuned up. That was kind of cool. He was like really powerful. He had
In like the first episode,
he had like
they're doing pretty well. Yeah.
They take him off. They take off his glasses and he's like, "Oh no, thanks," and then like blows up the whole building or whatever. Because I guess he's like way more. I guess the glasses focus his laser sight or whatever.
He suffered a head injury when he was a kid, which originally his powers were supposed to be he could just do that at will. But now they just go off all the time. So all the visor does is control how much he like lets out his optic blast, because it's constantly on.
So it could be 0 or
he can't
whatever
not have some type of diffuser.
So he can with the glasses on, he can be.
He literally
could still do 100%.
If he just takes his glasses off, then
it's 0 or 100.
He can't control that. He can only close his eyes to stop it. That's it.
Okay.
It's always on.
It's always on. And it's because when he was a kid, he suffered like a head injury that like fucked him up basically. And so if he was at his full power, he'd be able to turn that on and off at will. Okay, well, that's
I will
to
try.
each their own.
Yeah, I will try. I'll see. I'll probably pick it up when it finishes.
Yeah.
To see how the strong the ending is.
I
Because
do
I have
think-
seen online
yeah,
how powerful it is.
I do think that if the animation, that's not going to get any better. So if you don't like that, it is what it is. But if you feel that you aren't liking it because it's too, I don't know, 90s Power Ranger, like that is not something
That's
that
not
really
what you feel.
That's
from that.
not what I
Okay.
get at all.
Okay.
You might get that from the first 20 minutes,
Well, it was just team building in the yeah.
but there really isn't anything that even happens in the first 20 minutes.
nothing. I know.
Um,
And believe me, I sat down. I was like, all right, open mind, enjoy this. Try it out. But the 2-frame mouth talking, I'm just like, I can't fucking get over it.
I like the
don't
animation
know.
better than Invincible. I feel like Invincible.
For some reason, Invincible, it annoyed me this much. But this one annoyed me this much for whatever reason, and I don't know why. I can't even put a finger on it. It just did. I don't know if it's something with my eyes. I don't know what it is, but I was watching it and I got 20 minutes in and I was like, I was fighting the urge to just fuck off on my phone, and I'm like, why am I?
I
not gonna
almost
waste my
don't want
time?
you to watch it then, because I'll just be upset. If you, a part of me is just like, don't watch it. 'Cause if you watch the whole thing and you're like, no, I didn't like it, I probably will get upset, and I don't want that to become a thing between us as friends.
You didn't like X-Men 97.
Episode 5 was the worst thing I've ever.
But I mean, people online are pretty much in agreement with me that this is the best thing Marvel's done in years.
Yeah, and part of the reason why, so you said it was written for the idea that like these people grew up with these characters. Is there a lot of fan service to a lot of the comics?
A lot of fan service to the comics.
Okay.
But also like,
because is this set in the MCU or totally separate?
No.
Okay.
no, it's not MCU. It's
Set in the 90s.
it's
universe,
set in the 90s,
but not the 90s MCU.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's not. Well, technically it is. So the reason I say that is because the Watcher shows up in episode 5. He literally shows up. He looks at everyone and then bounces, and it's like just a very short like. And that's supposed to be your cue that, oh shit, something crazy is about to go down.
When did we see the Watcher? Was that only in What If?
And well, I guess in Guardians 2, there was,
Yeah.
you know. But the
Stan
Watcher
Lee's
has
cameo.
been watching everything.
I don't
When
remember.
he shows he's in the astronaut suit. He's like, you guys can't just leave me here or whatever he says.
Oh yeah, okay. The yeah. There was 3 of them though, right?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just like his race, but not necessarily the Watcher.
Yeah.
Is the Watcher a he? I don't know.
I don't know. They all look the same.
Yeah, I don't know what they are.
I don't know.
But so he shows up.
He just, so basically right before all the shit that goes down, his shadow is like in space and you can like see him and then it fades away. So like that's like the only thing that this, not that they're ever going to tie this into the MCU, but that's like basically them saying that this is a multiverse somewhere, is because the Watcher observed that.
You sure it's not Arishem?
It's definitely not Arishem. Yeah, but they got Cable in it. They got like all this clone saga thing going on. They got like Magneto trying to be a good guy, but he's not very good at it. But he's trying because of his friendship with Charles. Professor X is dead right off the rip.
Other people die.
I
I heard I've read the spoiler.
I don't think that you guys really even care
guys
at
are
this
crazy.
point.
I
You don't
just
care if
happened
I
upon
tell
it.
you the spoilers.
You happen upon it, or did you look in? Were you looking in
No.
a place that you would expect to happen
It
upon
was said X-Men is spoiler, and I clicked.
yeah, exactly.
And I was on like the Marvel memes. I clicked it. I was like,
Oh,
oh.
there you go.
Sure. It had the spoiler tag on it.
Yeah.
Too.
So I had to click it. I knew I was getting a spoiler, but
All right. Do you guys care?
No,
If
not even
okay. So
inside.
spoiler alert if you're watching this. So episode 5, they go to Genosha, which is like it's a
the X-Men Island or the Mutant Island.
it's about like the size of Hawaii, like all the islands put together. And it's basically it's an independent nation that was formed by Charles and Magneto. And it is like a place where mutants can go to be free of persecution. The whole thing is that they are, in the very first episode, the X-Men, they take out Trask and his Sentinels. And it's a bit of a big deal because they've been hunted by these Sentinels for a while, and they finally get Trask, and it's this whole thing, and they think they've won. And then it just opens up more and more problems. Then eventually they make this push to get involved with the UN. The UN finally starts to recognize Genosha as like a country. And then we don't know who or how this happened. We don't know how it's orchestrated. But this crazy, insane, powerful Sentinel could be from the future. It's hard to tell because there's not really anything that has this level of power that exists currently. Shows up and fucking murks Genosha. Literally, like, it's like slaughtering. Like, mutants are dying left and right. And it's like reminiscent of like the Holocaust. And Magneto has a personal stake in that, obviously. So he's fucking raging. He like uses his powers to pick up a whole train and he's like using the train as like a whip to fight the giant sentinel. It's crazy. Like they're trying to save everyone. There's like this like leading up to it. There's like this love triangle stuff between Rogue, Magneto, and Gambit, because I guess that actually happened in the comics. I had no idea. It's a little weird because Magneto's old,
I was
but
gonna say.
in the comics, Magneto, he did transfer his consciousness into a young person, so that's basically why he's still yoked, even though he's like old.
Not only that, like he transferred not only his consciousness but like his powers too.
I think it was a younger version of him.
Okay.
And he like, because it was like this whole multiverse thing. So even though they don't say that's what happened in the show, if you read the comics, apparently you just know that's why he's still jacked, because even though he's like, 70 or whatever, he's got the body of like a 40-year-old. But anyways, that aside, so Magneto, he has this whole thing where he's like, never again. And he goes and he starts saving people, and he's like wrecking shop. But then he gets attacked and he gets thrown against like this rubble, and he's got like all these like kids basically that he's like trying to save. And he's taking on like the full blast of this giant sentinel, and he's like doing everything he can to stop the blasts. And he like looks around and he realizes he's not going to make it. And so he like looks at the young mutant and he's like, don't be afraid, child. And then boom, dead. Just kills him. And he's dead. And then so Rogue starts freaking out and she starts flying towards him. Gambit saves her and like gets her out of the way. He goes and he starts fighting this giant sentinel. And then he gets stabbed with like this rod. It goes right through him. And then like in his last breath, he charges up the rod that's in him and blows the sentinel up, because his powers is he can like overcharge things. And then he dies. So that's how they solved the love triangle thing. They just killed off both people that she was like attracted to. And the way I'm describing it doesn't really do it justice. It's written and performed in such a way that like it really makes you feel like it really makes you feel like how you feel at the end of Infinity War, like we just lost basically. And so I'm almost like, I get they could do like a time travel thing, because Cable showed up for like a second and he like ran to Jean and he was like you could tell he was like, "Oh, not again," kind of thing. So it's like maybe he's stuck in a time loop where he's trying to stop this and it keeps happening. And that would be kind of cool if they did that. But if it's based off of the comic, which is called E is for Extinction. In that comic, Magneto survives, but the ultimate outcome is they can't figure out a way to keep Gambit alive and still win. So a lot of people are like, they think Gambit's probably permadead now. So it's just stuff like that, and it's just not like a kid could watch it, but it's not really geared towards that. And so like I think if your fear of like it being too adolescent to enjoy is there, I would probably say that would be alleviated like easily in this episode. But there are other episodes that deal with much darker things. The only episode where I'm like, okay, I mean, this was just kind of filler, just a fun little episode, was episode 4. And it wasn't bad by any means, but it was like, Mojo in the comics.
Yeah.
So it was like that, and where he brought Jubilee into like a video game, and it was just kind of there for like fun. It wasn't
comedic relief.
Yeah, it wasn't it was kind of filler. But yeah, I guess I'll stop talking now because I was ranting for like.
No, keep going.
So that's where we're at.
Oh
yeah. So next episode.
So we're not even technically halfway.
Yeah,
when do the episodes come out? Wednesday night.
Yeah. Yeah. So
seems consistent with the Disney.
I hope it keeps the steam. I hope it keeps that level of quality, because it would suck if it started to just go down.
Just dip after that.
Yeah, but I mean, I
Disney
felt like
the reception has been super positive.
Disney fired the showrunner, the guy that wrote the whole first season and second season.
Oh,
and he's been very quiet about it. He hasn't said why. No one really knows what happened. And the first time he talked since he got fired was he was talking about episode 5, and he said this was the episode that I wrote to pitch to Marvel the idea of the show, and this is the episode that made them say let's do it. And he like talked about it a little bit, but I don't know what no one knows what he did, but they let him go.
Interesting.
And the fact that he's not, maybe he signed an NDA or something, but it's kind of weird. But people are already like, bring him back. You know, like they're
It's too good.
yeah.
So first and second season, he wrote already?
Yeah, and the first and second season are done, and they just confirmed there'll be a third, but it's not going to be with him. So I don't know.
They're done as in they're already animated and everything?
I don't think they're animated. I think that it's written and it's like concrete on what they're going to do.
Okay.
But I don't think it's like that. It's been like animated or anything. So yeah, I mean I don't know what that
Has
that
Disney-
drama's about.
Has Disney done more than 2 seasons on any of their MCU shows?
Loki.
No, 2.
Loki's only
Oh,
two.
more than 2. No.
That one was weird
No.
because COVID hit, and that's why they split it. I don't think they even intentionally meant to do that.
No, they did, because Loki was only going to be the first season, but it was so popular that they made season 2.
I thought I was reading somewhere where they had to cut filming, and so that's why they did a season 1 and 2. I don't know, because of COVID or whatever, but I might be totally wrong. When did, because Loki came out in 21? 1, and then season 2, 23, I think at least. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's been, they've done a lot of shit on Disney Plus, so I've
they're
seen
slowing
the
down.
reception.
I mean, what we have Daredevil, Born Again,
It's gonna be 18 episodes.
and then I don't know of anything else that we've got coming, TV show wise.
I think Feige's retreated back to rethink everything.
They should have done that a couple
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They should have done that after like Eternals. Not that I actually liked Eternals.
Is
But they should
She-Hulk
have
getting a
rethought
second
their
season?
strategy.
There's no way, right? There's no way.
I don't know. So I'm a defender of She-Hulk up until the season finale.
it was good.
I actually
You
liked
were. You
liked
were.
She-Hulk. I thought it was good, but they just undid everything on that season finale. Like
Broke the fourth wall. And
like they broke the
climbing.
fourth wall in a way that just felt cheap. It didn't even feel like it felt like there was no payoff on anything. It was just
Well, because they broke the fourth wall and admitted like we don't know how to write ourselves out of it or something. Like, that's how it
Basically,
ended,
they were-
right? Didn't
she
they
was-
explicitly say that?
basically she was like, "What the hell? Like, who's writing this shit?" And then she like runs and she goes to the like
Kevin.
headquarters, and there's a robot called Kevin, which is like joking with Kevin Feige, that's like writes all this stuff, and she like changed it or whatever. But it just felt like all of that build up to the final episode
Deflating.
was like for nothing because it didn't matter. She acknowledged, she was like, "Well, this doesn't make any sense," and
Yeah.
then just like changed it. And so it was, I guess, funny, but it made it so where like every episode that built up to that really had no effect on anything, and there was no payout for anything.
Well, and I think
The
fourth
best part
wall
about it
breaks-
was when Daredevil was in it.
yeah, I think fourth wall breaks are best when they're done sparingly. Like Deadpool's
Yeah, I was
are
gonna say Deadpool.
good in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
his little comment to the camera, that's all you need. Like, and you know, it's like he knows you're there watching this, but it doesn't have to be like them going meta and like breaking into the studio. And I mean, I get they've done that in the comics, but I think it works better in comics than it would. I don't know.
No.
Because there's so many comics versus this was She-Hulk's one.
I mean, in
TV show.
theory, if she could do this, then She-Hulk's the most powerful
Yeah,
person in all of the MCU. Because, like,
Change the story.
yeah, like, I don't know. I liked She-Hulk when it was the moments it took itself seriously in. I thought it was good. But I didn't like I said, that ending just felt cheap to me. I think there was better ways to do like a funny fourth wall break at the
Yeah.
end. And because of that, we didn't get any like payout, and randomly they introduced Scar, and the Hulk was like, "Oh, this is my son." And it's like, the fuck, he's like 18. Like, where has he been this whole time? Like,
they age really fast.
I mean, I guess I don't know enough about Scar to say why he's as old as he is, but it's just weird, you know.
Mhm.
And then like the whole Daredevil thing is really cool, but then like they made him a romantic interest of her, which I actually was fine with for the
Yeah.
most part. But then it's like it doesn't matter because he has a new romance in his own show.
She's gonna get heartbroken.
And it's like, why even have that thread? Why even have that arc of Daredevil hooking up with.
Who do you like?
And it wasn't just a one night stand because then he was at Thanksgiving or
Yeah,
whatever
he
it
was
was.
at their dinner.
At their dinner. It wasn't they're like, oh, it's just her having fun. Like, no, he wouldn't have gone to that family dinner if it wasn't a relationship.
Who's your favorite Daredevil romance?
I like Karen Page.
I like Elektra.
Elektra's, you can't trust her.
That's the good part. It's the juicy.
That's toxic, Dylan.
That's juicy. It's like Black Cat, you know? Juicy.
You would rather Peter was a black cat than MJ.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
at least once. At least once.
That's toxic, Dylan. If you can't trust the woman you're with, then why are you with her?
I don't know. Mary Jane breaks Peter's heart a lot. Same.
Yeah, that might not be a good comparison. But Gwen Stacy.
Gwen Stacy. I will die.
What do you think?
What do you think?
I think Peter Parker could go burn down.
I'm not talking about Peter Parker burning alive. I'm talking about do you think that a relationship should have a healthy amount of toxicity? Because that's what he's arguing right now.
I don't know, man. I don't know what if it's a healthy amount, then it's healthy. You know, I think there's always got to be like some
What's
certain.
healthy? What's too far?
Yeah, I think there's got to be a certain like plug, tug and pull, and whatever the phrase is. Push and pull in terms of how much you can get away with, and so you can have some fun. But I don't know about any toxicity or. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Black Cat or Mary Jane?
Neither. He should just be a single simp his whole
Or
life.
Talia
Talia
al Ghul.
Talia al Ghul? Or Catwoman?
So basically,
Wait, he was with Talia?
No, that's
no.
Batman.
we're talking about romance. So he
Yeah, but
likes.
you said Mary Jane.
Yeah, now we moved on to Batman.
We're jumping
okay.
over.
Jesus.
Dylan's the type of guy that if his girlfriend installed like a tracker on his phone, he'd be like, she just loves me.
I would agree with that.
I'm not going to have fist bump that. I don't think I'd be...
All right. I don't agree with that.
But I'm like, I
You know
got
what's funny
nothing to
is-
hide.
I don't either. But
I have a tracker on
the
my
idea is it's secret versus talking about it. Secretly installing something on someone's phone versus saying, hey, are you cool if I put this on your phone?
phone. There's a difference.
That's the
massive difference.
Yeah, secretly I'd be upset with.
Because I track my wife all the time. We know where each other
Yeah,
are.
find my
She
iPhone.
doesn't know though.
She doesn't know.
She knows now.
But she wouldn't install that on my phone secretly. Electra
you know of.
would.
Electra?
Electra would freaking insert a syringe with a tracker device in your ass cheek.
That would make me
It'd
Daredevil.
vibrate to make to
So-
remind you of her. Ooh.
It must have been Electra that did that.
Ooh. Hello.
I don't know. In the show, I liked her better than Karen. I liked their chemistry more. Karen
Well,
was kind
Because
of.
she was hotter? That's why you liked her better.
I would.
I don't
argue Karen
even-
Might be hotter.
Yeah, I can't speak to that. I think that Electra's good for Daredevil. But if
Like
I was
Declaration.
Daredevil, Karen Page seems like more of the
What about Punisher and Daredevil together?
imagine how rough Punisher would be in bed. He would punish you.
Wow, what imagination.
John,
You've been a
Bernthal.
bad.
He kills you. I've been a bad boy. Oh, Dylan, why'd you go there? Why'd I follow you there?
I don't know. I think you let him, and then he pulled it a little bit, and you fucking ran right after him. I think you threw out that hand up. And he
This whole
followed.
conversation, Billy's been like,
I don't even. I mean, we're fucking going from one universe to a DC to MCU.
What one
Holy
could
shit.
Billy actually know that we can think of like that type of
romance?
yeah?
Billy doesn't give a shit about that.
Not at all.
But maybe in some type of show he likes, like
How I Met Your Mother.
Firefly. Is there something in Firefly?
Ted,
Absolutely.
Ted and Robin.
One of the most
So-
toxic relationships
Yes.
of all time.
So Ted and the mother is like the relationship that I'm for.
Mm-hmm.
Ted and Robin is the
No.
relationship that Dylan is for. That's what we're.
Comes with a lot of stress, but phenomenal sex. So it depends what you're in for.
Boiled down to its most basic.
And there's year in that phenomenal sex. You go years with drought. Okay, there's years where it's just not working.
Years. You start crying.
Years.
But the peaks are high, the valleys are low.
Ain't no mountain high enough.
Have you ever seen Firefly?
Yeah.
Do you even know the way?
What?
The
I-
way? What do you mean? You asked if there was a freaking
Well, I was trying to
relationship in
think.
there.
There's
Miranda
there's-
Baccarin and Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, but
They're
is
two
there a
characters.
third one? I don't remember a third girl.
It's River and her brother.
No. God.
In like a weird way, kind of. I love you. What was his name?
I don't remember.
He was like a doctor. I don't know.
Doctor Brother.
Elliot. or
Doctor
something.
brother. Yeah, but no, Malcolm and the courtesan,
Mm-hmm.
they were good, but there's no third one. What I wanted to find is something with like a love triangle, you know.
There was Wash and Gina Torres, whatever her character name was.
Imagine
The
being
redhead. Wash.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Alan Tudyk.
Alan
Yeah.
Tudyk, who's in every Disney movie ever.
Yeah. I can't think of any in Firefly, but
It's because you're not really a fan. You
I- it
The
didn't-
Witcher,
It didn't go on long enough to
Yennefer
No.
and Triss.
Yennefer and Triss.
I'm a Yennefer.
Yennefer's
I'm a Triss.
the toxic. Triss is the
You could
the
argue Triss
ease.
is toxic.
well. Okay,
Why? Because she.
Geralt doesn't even argue that because if you talk to Siri about like why you chose Triss over Yennefer, which you wouldn't have known because you didn't
Yeah, I
do that.
don't.
She goes, "Why did you end up ultimately going with Triss?" And he's like, "With Yennefer, everything was a challenge. Everything was an argument. Everything was, everything was
Toxic.
great. Everything was great. But there are sometimes you just want to sit back and enjoy the moment you're in. And with Triss, I got that. I didn't get that with Yennefer." And that's what he says, something like that in the game. So even Geralt says that Yennefer is just a little toxic.
Triss gave him amnesia, or no, he
Because
had
she
amnesia and
loved
she
him.
took advantage of it. And he had a girlfriend.
You
You're
wouldn't
welcome.
do that if you were madly in
welcome.
love.
No,
You're welcome.
Made it easy.
you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Isn't that like grape?
No.
No.
Not if you enjoy it.
He consented. It's not like he was saying no. Like
He didn't know though.
We're talking about made up characters.
Yeah, defending Yennefer. My love.
Yennefer 100% like story wise makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But as a human, which Geralt is not, he's a tortured human. I go with Triss.
We disagree on our romantic options.
I'm starting to see a trend. Well,
Yeah.
actually, Liara is the exact opposite of that.
100%.
Liara is literally ride or die, like the least toxic,
Yep.
like character. I don't know if there even is a character like that in Mass Effect.
Ashley?
No, because once she's in, she's in. She's all
But
in.
there's number 2 where she.
Well, because you joined a terrorist group. I'm tired of all these people. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't really like Ashley or Caden. But all these people are like, how could they do that? That'd be like if you came in and you were like, oh, by the way, I joined ISIS.
And we're like, huh?
I wouldn't be like, well, I'm with you, ride or die, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, like
That makes perfect plot sense.
But she didn't even give him a chance to explain. You know? Tally's with him.
yeah. Well, Tally is the best.
No.
Then why'd you bring her up? Subconsciously. You knew.
No, Liara is better.
Liara was too busy spying on people all of Mass Effect 2.
Hey, she found your body.
Looking up weird CCTV footage. of things and shit.
That's what a shadow broker's got to do.
Shadow Broker's got a snoop.
Snoop.
Liara found your body, but she didn't put you back together.
She gave you to the elusive man, who put you back together.
And like they needed that. If you have the ability, the fucking ship exploded.
Yeah. She didn't give up on
You
you.
didn't need the body. If you rebuilt a human being, they didn't need the body.
She didn't give up on you.
Yeah, she.
Shepard
fucking
is
did.
literally-
She literally bounced. She's not even a part of the second game.
Shepard is
It's a
literally like
footnote.
90% rebuilt. Like there's
Probably more.
there's
It's like nothing of him.
the
You can make
Shepard
an
that's in
argument.
Mass Effect 2 and Mass Effect 3 is not the Shepard that's in Mass Effect 1.
I was gonna say you can make an argument it's the clone. You're just
The
another
idea
clone.
is he basically died, and the clone had all the memories of previous Shepard installed. So, he's new basically, and that was actually brilliant story wise that they did that because it makes perfect sense if you randomly change classes,
Yeah.
like between 1 and 2, because you're a whole new Shepard.
You choose a class in 3? Or
Yeah.
did they get rid of class system?
No, you choose a class in 3, but in Mass Effect 2. There's different character sliders than there are in Mass Effect 1. And so my headcanon is he looks just slightly different
Unless you choose the default.
because he's rebuilt. I never choose the default ship.
I choose the default now. It grew on me.
I don't really like him that
No?
much. No.
Mark.
He looks a little too Calvin Klein.
That's Shepard for you.
I need him to look a little bit
GQ.
more rugged.
Makes him ugly.
I literally couldn't give a fuck.
Do you just do default?
I don't even know there was an option. I just hit play. All right, it's a fucking story-driven game.
Yeah, so you want it to look good, you know?
You don't even see your face.
Yeah,
In
you
the
do.
cutscenes.
Which most
think
of that
I'm looking
game
at
is
me?
a lot of cutscenes.
Yeah, and Shepard's really inspiring in those cutscenes. Yeah, I should do that. Wow, he sounds like an idiot half the time. He like gives the most uninspired, like he's kind of I don't know. He's kind of worthless. He's so uninspiring.
Commander Shepard is worthless in Mass Effect.
I feel like he's just like a
Wow.
pawn, man.
You are such
He-
that
He's
is such
just
a bad
pawn.
He's
That is
the
such a
only
bad
reason
take.
the world survives.
He is
Why?
literally he gives the best speeches. Mass
He's the
Effect 2,
catalyst.
Mass Effect 3. You know they're
He gives the best speeches.
He does.
yeah.
It's like 5 other characters that I think give better speeches.
The only other character that gives a better speech
Morden?
than Shepard is not Morden. Morden has never even given a speech.
What do you mean?
It's
Right
Kirhi.
before he dies.
Yeah, Captain Kirhi.
Kirhi is the only character that gives a better speech than Shepard.
Morden sings
But right before he dies.
I am
That's
the
not a
very model of
speech.
scientist.
No. He doesn't sing that right before he dies.
Yeah, he does.
No,
He
doesn't.
says, yeah, he does.
He sings that song right
You just-
before he explodes.
There's 2 different variations. of it.
Oh, okay.
There's a variation where he says like something like "new beginning for all," and then he like blows up. And then there's a variation where he's singing that song. So you probably got the other one.
I think you have to talk to him and you have to hear him sing it for him to sing it later.
Yeah.
You
But I
probably
think-
didn't talk to him at all.
I did I have 100% on that game playthrough.
I doubt he talked to people.
I didn't
the
halfway
ship?
through the first game because you guys were like, oh, you gotta make sure you need to get the pixels on the screen to be friends. And so I was like, okay, I'll go
You
chat him.
literally-
I'll go chat him up. Yeah, okay, there we go. We're going
Skip
down
And
there.
you didn't even do that well because like
You killed
randomly,
Rex!
like you're like, oh shit, Rex died. I'm like, you have to do just the bare minimum with Rex. To save him.
Boom! Ashley shot his ass.
Actually murked him.
Some tough guy, huh? I was like, wait, is this where? Is this going where I think it's going? Yep. Bam. Didn't
like,
get his
oh,
armor.
shit. Rex is
Or
so
whatever it
like
is.
critically important to Mass Effect
I
2
know.
and 3. It's crazy to think you could just play with him dead. Like,
One of the best characters. My favorite. You killed him.
A character
Ashley
you can't
killed him.
romance.
No, he can't. You can have bromance though.
100%.
You can't have a bromance.
You can take him to the casino in Citadel.
Yep.
As your date.
You can.
I don't remember that.
In the Citadel, you
The
go
DLC
into,
where you go to talk to Elijah Khan. at the casino, and he's like the arms dealer, and then you get there and he's shot in the head.
You're doing like a heist. You come in a tuxedo.
You know why he doesn't remember that? It's because he was like, why am I fucking doing this bullshit side quest when I could be saving the galaxy?
I thought the Citadel was just the party back at the house.
No, the whole thing where Shepard has a clone and...
I don't remember.
You don't
fucking remember.
The only thing I remember.
In order to get to the party, you have to do that.
Dude.
Like, that's... You can't do the party until you...
This guy blows my mind. He's
don't-
a gamer like
you
no one
don't
I've ever
remember
met.
the clone.
No, what the fuck, a clone? Who clones me?
That's the whole plot, is you have a clone.
Is he
Shepard
evil
has
or
a
something?
clone.
He was like farmed for parts in case Shepard something during his reconstruction, and then he was just tossed out when Shepard was alive, and then
Is that where you're with Garrus?
with Garrus everywhere?
Or no, and he's like scouting the party for you, or like not the party, but like it's like a nightclub, and he's like,
Maybe if that's who
You're
you
trying to
chose
stay
as your
hidden?
date.
And you try and stay hidden.
I don't remember the date.
I've never brought Garrus to that,
Mm-mm.
so I don't
usually
know what
bring,
he does.
You can bring your love romance. That's who I do.
It's kind of like a stealth mission, right?
It's like a heist. So you're in disguise. You're pretending to be just a party goer, but you're like
Because it's a masked party, right?
No.
Oh, I don't know what I'm thinking of then.
Are you thinking of the Kasumi?
But even that's not a mask party. That's,
Yeah,
I don't know.
masked party.
It's been years.
Are you thinking of Witcher 3 when you go
When
with
did the
Tristan?
Legendary Edition come out?
A couple years ago.
Yeah. That's the only
It's
time
been
I've ever played.
Years.
But I only played it once. You guys have 400 hours. I have 70.
I feel like
I think you should play it again.
Never.
I feel like I could remember something I only played once.
Definitely. That's not how my brain works.
No, because your brain is the type that would be like, this causes 20% damage input. If I were to just,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
could probably tell you a skill rotation. Like
if I hit
optimal
up, down,
rotation.
left, right, left, right, up, down, right, it's the perfect rotation. And I have to do that every 10 seconds for 40 minutes. Otherwise, we don't kill this boss.
I don't know why. I don't know why I'm like that.
The lore reason behind why we're killing this boss? Not a damn clue.
Did you
His
do
health bar is red. We go.
Did you do Firewalker? Did we make him do that one?
What's that one?
The
I don't
crappy
think-
flying
In Mass
car
Effect 2.
in Mass Effect 2.
I don't think that you would
I
have
don't
done
think
that.
we had to do that one. I hate that mission. Like, that's one of my favorite side missions, and it's locked behind that crappy car.
The Overlord?
Yeah, with the 3 point, when he's...
3 point.
Is he reciting
I
pi?
forget. No, it's not pi. The square
Something
root of
else.
something is something.
That's like my favorite.
Where they have
David?
that autistic kid, and they try and upload his brain into
A Geth.
a Geth interface. You don't
Does that
remember
sound familiar at all?
That does vaguely.
And at the
Oh.
end, he's like crying. And
He's like all
being-
hooked up, and his brother
by
hooked
the
him up to
machines.
it.
And then you have the choice, right, to like keep him that way or reset him or something.
You have a choice to free him
Yeah, I did this one.
or keep him hooked up.
Yeah.
I think that's it, right? Just
Yeah,
those
I
two?
think we made you do it. We also made you do Arrival because you were like, "Oh God, I have to do another DLC before I do number 3." And we were like, "Yeah."
Which one's Arrival? The
Arrival is
Leviathan?
literally the one where you blow up the mass relay to slow down the Reaper's arrival.
When you're all by yourself.
and we're like,
don't
if
really
you
have
don't do
anybody.
that one, you don't have to. But
Canonically, it won't.
it's so important to the story. But even you were like, "Yeah, I don't even know how that would make sense if that didn't happen
It wouldn't at
Yeah,
all.
next game you're in jail.
for no reason."
You're like, what?
Well, you joined Cerberus,
Yeah.
so I guess there's still a reason, but.
That was for 3, right?
And the way they explain it in Mass Effect 3, if you don't do Arrival, is the Alliance just did that.
They sent a team.
The Alliance sent a team that blew up the relay. But it feels less personal.
Yeah.
You know?
So we did make you play Overlord and Firewalker.
I'm pretty much sure I did everything.
That's damn.
I watched him like every night for
I
like,
know, it was
at
crazy.
least a week, a couple weeks maybe.
And you were like, okay, answer this option. Okay, now you need to talk to this person. I was like, all right.
And then
Javik.
literally, it was the funniest thing because I was watching every single like you live streamed everything, and the one night that I was like busy, you texted and you were like, Rex is dead, and I was like, what the fuck? Like the one night where I was
Because I think I got that was the first game, and I think I did that one. I had played by myself to that point, and then when I
was
texted you guys
watching,
that, you were like,
and then no, I remember I was watching, and then
We're
that
gonna
was
keep
the
an eye
one
on this
night
guy.
I wasn't watching.
Then from that
He's
point
dead.
on, Kyle never.
you're like, I don't trust this guy.
And well, I told you, I was like, don't forget to get the family armor because your charm isn't high enough. And then you didn't because you were like, I didn't think that it was happening like right then and there. It just came out of nowhere. Like
Well,
Mass Effect.
where can people find us?
They can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, any major podcast listening platform, as well as hopefully you're watching us right now on our weekly stream Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we stream and just talk about fun stuff, or sometimes we do a little video game streaming. Yeah, come
Hell
like,
yeah.
subscribe, and let us know what you think about our silly voices.
What?
Wow. And with that,
You
remember,
ruined it.
with a good kitty, you get the dub.
Bye, guys.
Bye.